Hey everybody, welcome to I don't know what edition of this is, the Pirate Life podcast. I recorded a little earlier today and then had to rush out. We're filming Zambo Dende right now still. We're in Bogota, Colombia. It's, I don't know, I think it's the 6th or 5th of November 2014, and I'm here with my friend Juan David. Juanito Maldito. You can't really find him on Twitter or Instagram because he doesn't fuck with that stuff. He's kind of like a modern day ninja, sort of. But he's been helping us get around all through the city and translate for us and do all that stuff. And we're just having a little downtime on set. But I hope all this is going well. This is a brand new recording device for me. Had to get another one earlier today because my stuff broke. I think I would like to blame it on TSA, but it was probably my own negligence. But man, the historical parts of the city for me have been like some of the most amazing things. And one of the first things I noticed here when I got here was like the FARC movement was all over the papers, and you know a lot historically about that. Tell us a little about that. And like, where did you learn it all? Like, is this stuff that people are taught in schools here, or as far as the resistance and things like that to the government? It's a government oppositional movement. Please enlighten us.
Well, actually, the thing is, you do learn that stuff. And well, first of all, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for the invite. And yeah, well, about Colombia and about the history of Colombia, you do get that on school, but it's a really shallow thing, and it's a superficial kind of giving us the hints of 500 years of violence in this continent. Well, even before that, we don't have any much records of what was happening here before the Spanish came in, but we do have some hints that there was on war and still before that. So it's something about this and this particular piece of land that's Colombia, and it's a violence that's been going on for way too long. The Spanish came in and that brought a new element to it, and that brought a new dimension to it. But after that came the colony, the conquest and the colony, where, well, that's pretty much it. That's violence, that's eradication of the indigenous groups, bringing the slaves and mixing them all together with the indigenous people. And for the recent history of Colombia, the last 200 years, since we became independent from Spain, since Simón Bolívar leaded this independence movement towards the colonies, towards Spain. Ever since that, we got that so-called independence, we've been fighting each other for power and stuff like that. So, and it's been going on and on and on, and the FARC movement is just a retaliation of years and years and decades of violence that's been going on.
And what does that stand for?
FARC?
Yeah.
The Fuerzas Armadas Revolucionarias de Colombia, which translates to Colombia's Revolutionaries Armed Forces, Army of the People. So.
And who was the originator of this? Was there like two political factions and they split off, and one guy went to the hills and did
the most critical point in history, of recent history, that aided the creation of the guerrilla movement as we know it. It was the killing of the political leader Jorge Eliezer Gaitan on the 9th of April of 1948. After that, they had to form these groups and go onto the mountains and try to hide, because they were going to get killed by the official forces, like the government official forces. Because conservatism, that's what they did. Since Jorge Eliezer Gaitan was really important leader, and you hear his speeches, and that guy was trying to make changes happen in Colombia, and trying to make it. And he saw things. He studied in Europe. He came from a really poor background. He studied in Europe, came back, and tried to make things change in Colombia. And the traditional political class wouldn't stand that. So even people within his own party, political party, wouldn't stand that. Like that guy is going to take the power away from us.
Right.
So it's been said that it wasn't only the conservatism, but people within his own party that plotted that killing, and what it got was just a big explosion of violence throughout the whole country, and the people started. The liberals said, well, we might as well defend ourselves, because if they killed him, they're gonna come for us.
And this was a fight that happened to the liberal and conservatives in the 20s and 30s also, right? Because when we were at the museum the other day, we were looking at animations and drawings, and I took pictures of those, and you know, of it was some agricultural firm or something, I think, that they were fighting against, and that were obliterating the local farmers and stuff. And so there was like real violent cartoons of heads cut off and all that kind of stuff, and like a lady justice sweeping the truth under the rug with all the graft and nepotism and all that kind of stuff. So that was 20 years prior to this murder.
That's right. And the thing is, after Simon Bolivar died, the two big factions of the root of the political parties as we know them right now were the centralists and the federalists. So what they were trying to do is fight over power, and trying to impose their way of controlling the country. And after that, it came the War of the Thousand Days, which was on 1900.
Okay.
1900. 1900, yeah. So it was the same political parties fighting each other, and that just kept on and on and on until they killed. Actually, that wasn't the first magnicide, like the first political leader that was shot on the 20th century. Before that was Rafael Uribe. He fought on the 1,000-day war, but after that he said, I'm not going to war again, I'm just trying to make a change, a real change through politics. So he ran from presidency, and he got it. He was president for a while, and after that, and he got murdered by two peasants who didn't have an actual reason. And it's all dark and on the edges, and nobody knows what really happened.
So maybe somebody paid a couple peasants to kill the guy, something like this.
Something like that. That's the whole idea. There was a whole it's dark. It's dark because nobody knows what really happened. And actually they tried to make a movie about that, and it was banned in Colombia because the first people that would bring the cinema to Colombia, they would try to make a documentary about it, and they would ban that because they didn't want the truth to be known. So that was the first magnicide, big political leader being killed.
Leopard or whatever that
that was even before that. That's okay. Mariscal Sucre and the tiger and licking his paws, his bloody paws. That was even before that. Sucre was like he was a mariscal throughout the gist of independence. And all the people that trying to really make a change, trying to really.
That's the way we do. We kill them.
Yeah. People that say, no, you're not gonna take this away from me. Fuck off, and you get killed. But and that's the same circle of violence. It's someone avenging someone, and then trying to make things change as that other person wanted. And then get killed, and then someone else trying to avenge him, and then someone else trying to avenge, and
Right.
and it's 200 years of vendettas.
Of the same deal.
Vendettas. Some
And now in '48, what did they call it when they burned the city down? Then?
that was el Bogotazo, when everybody was just fed
El
up with it.
Bogotazo.
El Bogotazo. That would el Bogotazo would mean something like the Bogota's big strike or big boom, something like that. Bogota's boom, Bogota's explosion.
And the
'Cause that-
magnitude of that, like that's what struck me when you were telling me this story.
half of the city was destroyed.
Half.
And yeah,
And this is a huge city. This is like New York City, bigger. It's huge.
now it is, but at that time, it was really, it came up to only like, it was really little, and after that, it's been growing exponentially because
Okay.
of the violence that it spread out throughout the country. Would make people come here,
I see.
trying to
Because
find
this
safety.
is highly mountainous. It's out of the way a little bit.
And you won't find the war in here. The war is happening somewhere else.
Right.
In the countryside, in the plantation side, where the land is really what makes you rich. What makes you what when you
The
kind
land, you were saying, yeah, the poppies, the coca, and the coffee.
and not only that, like banana, and now we're growing African palm to grow to get oil out of that.
Really?
And that also has made, like, the land is what makes you rich here, and it's like 80% of the land is owned by 3% of the population in Colombia, and that is what really makes the difference. That's what gets people really like peasant country, country workers, farm workers. There are agricultural country made into a urban country throughout the last 50 years. Yeah. After that, what happened? Yeah, was the violence that spread out throughout the country made people go try to seek safety in the capital and on the big cities like Medellin, for example, Cali, for example, Cartagena in some way. But not at that big a scale as Bogota. Bogota has been growing exponentially, like in the last 50 years. At that time of the Bogotazo, there weren't more like 50,000 or something like that inhabitants,
Wow.
and now we have like 6 million.
Crazy.
That's exponential growth
Huge.
throughout the land. Huge growth in the last 50 years.
Huge. It's crazy when we were walking by the Congress and everything the other day, and then that one building that was like clearly new, not the same construction as the rest of them. Like, yeah, they burnt that down too, and it's like, I mean, I can't really even explain to everybody like the grandness of that building. It'd be like, I don't know, like burning down like the biggest courthouse in your town or the biggest. Not even that. It's huge. It's like it would be like going to like the Sears Tower or something. Go, oh, we burnt that down. I mean, it's not like a high skyscraper, but this huge palatial building, like that's crazy. And like when you were talking about that, like that the uprising for that, like that kind of strife that it takes that much to burn a city, like that would be like the Rodney King riots in L.A. back in '91. That was like the whole country though rioted on that level. It'd be like something similar to that, like wild, like death and just destruction everywhere. Yeah, and then that maybe made a big inroad for the cartels and for different things to come into play.
The thing is, after that, like, imagine if you're working. I mean, you're a farm worker or like if you live on the countryside of the country, and you won't get news from the capital for 2 or 3 days because everything was burned down. So that will make you think, like, man, where this
And
shit.
people are out killing people on the roads, so there's not people traveling with news, really. Yeah, crazy.
So that's what made some of the leaders that would come together not for political reasons but for safety for themselves and for their families. Like, you know what, they're gonna come for us, so we might as well get armed.
Dude,
and
that's just like a prison thing. That's like where they're like all the whites and all the blacks and all the Mexicans, everybody's gonna get together because we don't really even like each other, but it's better than getting killed by this other group. Like that, except it's in the country.
That's right. And after that, that really brought imagine in such a violent country that from 49 to 53, we call that period of time, we call the violence, la violencia.
Crazy.
Because everyone was killing everyone everywhere for no reason. I said, you're a liberal, I'm gonna kill you. You're a conservative, I'm gonna kill you.
Right.
Because that's what it is. That's what it is. There wasn't any political background at all. That
Right.
wasn't. It was just
It's
safety
kind of like
for
there's an
yourself.
era we had like McCarthyism, and there was a thing where they would try to deify certain figures for no reason at all, and they go, he's a communist, and just point a finger, and they didn't. I don't know. They probably murdered some people, but it wasn't like that wasn't a thing. But they would try to imprison people, and they would try to keep people from having jobs and all that kind of stuff. But this is like the volume turned up on that kind of an idea. Like the way you think is offensive to me, so I'm gonna hurt you.
Yeah, and after that, like on 53, they signed a peace treatment, something like that. They put down their weapons and they try to incorporate into normal life, but all of them got killed.
Wow.
After that. So
this was all the rebellion got killed after.
Yeah,
that.
all the small guerrilla movements that were liberal guerrillas,
Right.
they were all killed. They were all swept out by the conservative movements, and of course the military and the police that are also like the armed force of the conservative
Right.
party. So after that, and because of the Cuban Revolution and of so many things that were happening around the world, not only the Cuban Revolution, Cuba is our like closest example, but there were also things happening in Vietnam, in Korea, in Africa, all the way all across Africa. All of those movements inspired this small groups into becoming communist guerrillas. So they changed the whole scheme of thinking, and so that they're not fighting for traditional politic as it is, but for a new politic, for a new way of thinking, new way of life. That was in the beginning, and that was in the 60s. After that came what we call bonanza marimbera, something like the pot wealth. That was the first time we started exporting pot to the U.S.
Wow.
On the 60s. So that made a lot of people that were growing pot here really, really rich.
Yep.
And because it was illegal, they will get searched and killed. So they kind of merged with all these movements that were already controlling parts of the country, and that's how. Well, that's kind of what is the guerrilla movement now, which is a private organization. If you look at the guerrilla definition in a dictionary, it says it's a direct action movement. It wouldn't take longer than 4 or 5 years for a guerrilla to achieve something. And this guerrilla has been going on for 50 years.
Yeah.
One of its founders, Manuel Marulanda Vélez, he was known as Tiro Fijo. He started as
And what does that mean?
Tiro Fijo means clear shot. Like they will call him that because at that time when they started fighting the guerrillas, they got the military got helmets that would cover up to the forehead.
Yep.
And this guy will kill him right between the eyes. That's why they called him Tiro Fijo, like straight shot. And
It's quite a way to get a nickname.
And he started off as a 13-year-old boy and died as 60-something guy after going through a lot of shit and just dying in the fight, as they call it, the struggle and stuff like that. But achieving only like this guy he was a fucking king. He had all the money in the world. He had all the cars he wanted, all the things he wanted. He lived in a palace, some stuff like that. So that makes you think: do you really want a communist movement?
It's kind of the thing about like anybody that gets. It's like once people come up, it's like then all of a sudden all their ideals are like, oh, maybe it's not so bad over here. Like in America, they talk about you know, all the liberals or all the Democrats, if you're a Democrat in your 20s, by the time you're in your 40s, you're a Republican or something like that. You know, now, oh, maybe he has a house or he has, you know, different things matter to him or something. But to me, I don't know, it just seems like either side is the same side in a way. I mean, of course, there's different ideals and things like that, but I believe that there's like, what we have is like a out of control capitalism in a way where corporations have all the power and all the say, and even at the expense of our safety, like at our food and at our everything. It's like that we're slaves to that, and certainly the politicians on either side are like that. You know, nobody speaks of the people, I don't think, except maybe in like city or small towns, or maybe some states, the governor maybe, but fuck, there's so much money at stake, and even those guys, they go in, like I think Obama probably went in and he probably thought, fuck, I'm gonna make a change. I'm gonna, you know, or maybe I'm naive to think that, but like, I like to think that, like, here's a guy that was like, oh, I'm gonna do something. And once you sit down in that chair, there's some guys that go in and go, okay, yeah, you wanna do that, but here's the way it's gonna be. Here's what you can do, here's what you can't do, and this is how it's gonna go. And then it's just all fucked. And it really seems like that's how it goes. Even good-natured men, they fall subject to the position, and the position demands that you be a certain way. And whether that's you're a cop or you're a dealer on the corner or you're a mayor or you're whatever, it's like the position demands certain behaviors. And most of those behaviors, you're making deals with the devil, it seems like. And is that a similar construct to the government that's here in Colombia?
Actually, it came to my mind the case of one politician that got arrested for corruption charges. And he would say that he had a family of drug dealers.
Uh-huh.
He had really strong
That
connections.
he like took care of or something, or that were his friends.
No. He was part of the.
Oh, he was
part
his
of the
family.
business.
Uh-huh.
But at one point he said, "Fuck it, I'm going into politics because it's less the risk and it's twice the money."
Wow.
Yeah, because if you're a drug dealer,
And that's a
you're
Colombian cartel guy.
Yeah.
Fuck. Because I don't know, we think of that, we think, oh, fucking Pablo Escobar, or what, you know, we're like, that's the top of the food chain. Nothing in compared to politics.
That he said, like being a drug dealer is cheap change compared to what you can get from being a major or being a governor or something like that. Because there's so much money at stake.
Yeah.
Like you're not only dealing with what people are consuming, and by that I mean drugs.
Yeah.
You're controlling what people, how people go to a hospital, or go to school, or go to college, stuff like that.
Traffic,
which is
roads, highways,
traffic.
everything.
That's it. That's what he said. What I got out of drugs was high chances that you get killed eventually.
High risk.
That you'd get killed eventually by someone else trying to get over your roads or your supplier or stuff like that. But if you get into politics, you got it done. You got it done because the game is already set. And the game is already rigged.
Mm-hmm.
So if you play your cards well, not like this fucker who got arrested at some point, all your family and your grandsons, like for example, the actual president of Colombia, his grandfather was the president.
Crazy.
Eduardo Santos, and they still own, the Santos family. They still own the biggest and the most widely distributed newspaper in Colombia.
So they own all the information.
They own the information,
Yeah.
and they own TV channels and magazines and.
Yeah, it's crazy when you look at the statistics about that, about news and television. How, I don't know, there's something like in 1980 there were like 600 different independent newspapers or something, and 400 television stations or something. And now in 2014, all of them are owned by like 3 different companies, and that's it. Like,
and those are companies that are not interested in the flow of information, but are and some different
what
hidden
they feed
agenda.
you. Yeah.
Hidden
Here's how we
agenda.
feed you this. I want to feed you some fear because we're going to sell some more in 3 weeks from now. So we got to get you good and scared right now about Mexicans coming over the border or whatever the fucking thing is. It's crazy. That it's such a crazy setup. And then none of the hands work together. So not even the hands that are doing the dirty work, they don't even think they're dirty. They don't even know. They're just doing their job every day. It's fucking wild, man. That drug money is astonishing. There's a picture recently, some guy in Mexico that got arrested, or they went into one of his homes, and he had something like $13 billion in American $100 bills or something there.
In a room.
Yeah, just in a room, and then like gold machine gun, like the whole, everything all tripped out drug dealer style, and it's fucking astonishing. And like that was one of his homes in one, like that's not a piece of his wealth, It's like fuck. And then when you say, oh, politics, it's nothing, nothing compared to politics.
It's cheap change.
Yeah, chump change. Where'd you learn English?
By myself. Well, my mother, she's a teacher. She's an English teacher, and she helped me out a lot. But she had to work all day. She didn't have so much time to spend with me. But mostly TV and music.
Yeah.
That's what it.
Trying to like mimicking words and then finding out what the words mean.
Yeah, and reading a lot.
Yeah. You read English books?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because my mom had some.
Right.
That's what she gave me. And what I didn't know, I would ask her. So.
That's cool. And then you're a film student. You're finished in film school.
Yep. I graduated in 2011.
And you're up right now to get some funding for a film?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do right now. Well, it's if you don't want to like sell your babies to one big producer or big, you have to like get your hands dirty, and at this time of history, I think it's really inspiring that we have so much options. Like the same thing, this piece of equipment that we're working on, it's really cheap compared to what you can get as sound equipment 20 years ago.
Yeah, this podcast is like $300, and then you're on the internet and you've got a radio show. Whereas like 10 years ago, if you wanted a radio show, it's going to cost some money to be in a studio and the equipment and all. Yeah, it is.
So I think it's really hopeful for everyone that has an idea and wants to communicate things. This time is really exciting. It's really, things are happening. Everyone has a camera in his pocket, and everyone has how to put it on the internet at home. Well, not everyone, but most of the people does.
Right.
And that's really what makes you want to think about what you're saying and what you want to communicate. Like, you have an idea, but how to spread it out,
right.
how to make it work, how to make it. It's not like we're not drawing in caves anymore.
Right.
Like, we've come a long way from that, and the way to. It's not easy, anyways, but it's
available.
It's available.
That's what I feel like too. Is the same way. I was like, growing up, I always felt like there's a foot on your neck. Like, if you don't like government or whatever, it's like nobody gives a shit. Like, it doesn't matter, and so you're alone, and this is the system. You have to live in this system. There's not another way. But now, man, like with Twitter communication, Facebook, everything, it's like we're all out in, like, I don't know, like different groups that are out, like Anonymous or when Operation Wall Street was going, or like all these different things that are available. Like, these kinds of activists can act up over here, or these kind of people like can say, hey, here's what's happening in Ferguson, or here's what's in different parts of the world, like here's what's happening in Spain, and you get more of a familial sense, I think, of the whole earth, instead of it being so compartmentalized that you're only in your little town where you live, because information's everywhere now. Like, you can get every course you want to take at Harvard, you can get on the internet. Like, anywhere you have the freedom of the internet, you have a freedom to information, which is incredible, man. It's a great time to be alive. A friend of mine just did a Kickstarter program. Like, I don't know, You
Yeah,
do
yeah,
that
like
with it, like
crowdfunding.
yeah. Like, and so they sourced all their money just off an idea, like, hey, friends, family, I've got this idea, and I want to. And then they started their little film that way, and that's how it all happens. You know, I always think about Reservoir Dogs, and I think, you know, Quentin Tarantino. I read an interview, and he's like, we could easily do that with the technology of an iPhone and stuff now. Is way better than everything that we used then, and you could make that movie for 50 grand. He's like, it's just nothing. And you look at the availability of what a fantastic piece of art that is, and that it's all available to everybody. There's no more disempowering foot on your neck. It's like, there's a way, man. And there's like, I think about like the image of Ganesh a lot, the remover of obstacles, you know, and there's not obstacles that we can't get around. All it takes is an open mind and going, I believe there's another way, and there is.
Yeah, something that's really stuck in my head from the little I know you, it's the concept of the pirate life. that really, that you got the weapons, but how would you use them?
Yeah.
How would you use them? Those are weapons.
Yeah.
Those are weapons that, and you decide what to do with that. You can decide either to make a podcast about trying to get your makeup done, or trying to get your nails done, or try to I don't know, shit like that, like anything, and or talk about history, or talk about anything you want. That's the freedom you're seeking. That's the freedom you want, and that's the what it's not what I don't know, but it empowers people. Yeah, it gives them the choice. You can do it. You can do it.
Yeah.
There's no like there's no obstacles now. Yeah, there are, but they're easy to come by with the tools you have right now.
And you can always go and ask anybody. Like, you could tweet a question anytime, or go to Yahoo, ask a question, and be like, how do I surmount this? I don't know how to set up my TV, or anything, or, you know, I've got this problem with my boss, you know, all that stuff, man. And the more I think about that, the more technology increases, the more I think about consciousness, and the more I think about energies and about connections, and it's like, none of it's dissimilar. It's all it's all connections. All of it is. Yeah, I just paused for a second. Our co-star Michelle Lee just came in and is gonna come in and join us in a little bit. But yeah, that's definitely like that whole idea of that pirate life idea is like pirate your life back. Like there you know. Diminish any obstacles that you have, and get after it, because the more that everybody wins, the more that everybody wins. You know, the better that everybody does, the better that everybody does, and focusing on those kinds of things are what's a merit, I think, of where, you know, you can get where you can increase positivity, you know, and all that kind of stuff, and like what vibrations that you put out in that way.
It's like when I think of internet, and when I think of all the tools we have available right now, it makes me think literally in how the brain works, and like the way knowledge has been working for the last 2,000 more years. It's linear. It's like it's a book. It's that only goes one way, but with hyperconnectivity and hyperlinks and stuff like that, it's not only one way. Each word will lead you in a different path, and each word will lead you into a different direction, and stuff like that. Like makes you think how the brain itself works. Like all the connections that like brain cells are not only. It's not a cable. Right. It's more like a net, and that's how this is connecting the world, and how it's connecting humankind as a whole. Like that's the tissue that's bringing us all together, like in a meaningful way, in a abstract way, something like that.
Is that what got you into film work?
I don't know, but I must say that I was really, really inspired by Reservoir Dogs.
Oh yeah.
I saw that movie when I was a child, and I said, I've always been a fan of movies, and I've always been a fan of TV and stuff like that. But when I saw that movie, I said, like, dude, I can do that.
Yeah.
There's so little elements, so small things that you can turn into a really great idea, tell a great story, a story bigger than
All you need is a story.
Yeah, all you need is a story. So yeah, that kind of stuck in my head, and I tried a lot of different things, and I searched a lot of things before I realized that this is what I wanted to do. So I was attracted by history. I was attracted by art, like art itself.
Yeah, you fucking know a lot about art. I mean, we went through that museum, and you're just like, oh, and this guy, and then this, like, you knew every artist intimately. Like, how many times have you been in that museum?
A lot of times, because I love it. That's there's this thing that when everyone that comes to Colombia says, oh, I've read about the Botero Museum, and I'm like, fuck that. It's like, well, literally, fuck that. Botero is one of the most well-known artists in Colombian known artist, and but he's fuck up. I mean, that guy he just found a way to make money, and that's he's been doing for the last 40 years. But I got that small collection. It gives you a walkthrough from the 16th century till nowadays, and that really like shows you what the development of the ideas here, and the images, and the everything that was mixing into it, like all the elements that makes Colombia so rich. Like we have, it's essentially everything mixed together. We have two like national foods here, which are sancocho and salpicón, and both are in a way that same concept. You grab everything you have and put it in a pot. Yeah, so sancocho is you've got chicken, pork, beef, papa, yuca, plátano, everything you got, and put it in a pot and make it boil, and something good will come out of that. And salpicón is just the same thing. Just chop every fruit you find and put it in, and that juice you make, that's gonna come out something good.
Yeah.
So that's what really.
That's what that museum is for you.
Yeah. It's like all these bits and pieces that.
And then all the coins. We didn't go see that either, but they make all the coins. All the.
And the old museum, we also missed that. That's a really interesting thing, because it gives you like.
You gotta be closer.
It gives you like also that was before before the Spanish came in and brought us all those different elements from all the world, but they had a lot of culture here that was erased, and no one, I mean, the average Colombian is
unaware.
It's unaware of that.
Now, do you think that they tried to, like, with the what did they call them, like death squads or whatever, that would go take people out of their homes in the night and things like that? Like, was that the political group at that time trying to erase a history in a way of anybody that was like, and that went on for how long? That was in the 80s, yeah.
Yeah, in the 80s, there was this big guerrilla movement who was, in my point of view, one of the most important, one of the most meaningful. That was the M19 movement, Movimiento 19 de Abril. That was, their hits were all about symbols and all about things that'll get stuck in your head, things that'll make you think, but not killing people, not getting away from violence. This was the one that was like
the revolution that was really for the people. That was like, they went in, they stole all the guns, they tunneled around to get into the armory, stole all the guns from the armory, and then didn't fire a bullet.
They didn't fire a bullet.
They just took the guns to show they could take the guns, just to try to get the government to sit down and talk.
That's right.
Yeah.
That they wouldn't. They will get out of the like traditional guerrilla movement that's trying to hit a town, that's trying to hit a military facility, and stuff like that, and trying to make something more meaningful.
It's like a true human movement. Because even the soldiers are members of their same humanity that they don't want to hurt. Like, they're not there to hurt people.
That's right. So, but what they thought was, you're not gonna get listened to or heard unless you've got the guns in your power. So the first hit was taking assaulting La Quinta de Bolivar, which is like Simon Bolivar's house, which is now a museum, and take his sword and put pamphlets all over the place that would say, Bolivar, your sword goes back into the fight for the people. You were taking the weapons back,
like a
and
national
fighting.
artifact.
Yeah.
They're taking out of it. It's crazy, man. It's like if Banksy ran a revolutionary movement
That's
or
right.
something, you know?
Yeah. And they started. It's funny how they started. They would make ads on newspapers, big newspapers. Before that hit, months prior to that hit, they would release it was kind of like a brand. M19, we are coming. It is coming. M19, something like that. And when it happened, it was like nobody was expecting that. Everyone was expecting a new brand of whatever, like.
Right.
But when that happened, and they filled the place with pamphlets with saying, "We're going back. We're taking
It's
back."
just like
the
Anonymous in a way, except in real action, not just some guys hiding on the internet. Which is
right.
what kind of it seems like Anonymous is. I don't know.
And well, thing is, after that, all got mixed up, and everything got mixed up, and everybody got a piece of action, and everybody got a piece of what to say about the movement. So they had to sit and talk, and really weird shit happens, and they got funded by the drug dealers again, and try to make them.
So this peaceful movement for the people got funded by the drug dealers.
Eventually, they will get closer to the drug
And that's
dealers.
just like the corporations paying a fucking bureaucrat to, or a congressman or what. It's the same shit. You've got to do their business now.
So yeah, it all got mixed up. His original leader was disappeared. Most of the heads of the movement, the original movement that was like 24 people only, they were killed or tortured or disappeared, and the people that was left behind were kind of like forced into dealing with these other groups.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then a lot of things happened after that, and they signed a peace treaty, and after that they would systematically look for them and kill them with their families.
So kind of signing the peace treaty just let them know, like, oh, you're part of this and you're here, and so then they knew they could identify everybody.
Yeah, so they funded this, they created this political party that was called UP, like Unión Patriótica, Patriotic Union, that was mostly guerrilla warriors that would come out and said, like, okay, let's do it your way. We're gonna run for elections. We're gonna go, and it was systematic. They were all systematically searched and killed.
Crazy. You say disappeared a lot.
Yeah.
Is it a common term here?
Yeah. Like, it's also systematically, and it's, as I said, like 200 years tradition or more. 500 years if we go back even further than that.
You're talking
you would just come in, get the people, and nobody will find them after that. Like nobody knows what happens to that people.
It's a different time now in a way. Like you were telling us the story when we were driving to work, and there's all the graffiti, and you're like, it only not just now became legal, or they tolerate it now on the street because a young boy got killed by a cop. And so like, maybe 20 years ago they don't care. It's just a young boy that got killed by a cop. Is that right? Like there's a different tone now, or?
Well, the thing is, like, I don't know. Even that case was trying to be the policeman and all the people around him were trying to make it all disappear in some way, but it got spread out. The word got out and people would come.
The
out.
internet's motherfucker, cops. Like that's like that shit is fucking. Twitter's not your friend apparently. If you're gonna do some shady shit, motherfuckers are gonna hear. And then that had real change though in the street here.
Yeah. Like after that, like everyone just went out and started painting and started signing as the boy. Like
really?
His tag was Tripio, and everybody would come out and sign like him, Tripio. So you'd see that all over the city, people tagging like it was him.
Yeah.
And after that, well, I don't actually the actual the current mayor of Bogota belonged to the M19 movement.
No way.
Yeah, he is. So, and he's done a lot of things. I mean, I can say he's not perfect at all.
But he's
got
better than Obama.
What?
But he's better than Obama.
But he's trying.
Not that the next guy after Obama or the guy before Obama was worth a shit either.
Yeah, it was better than anyone. But he's trying to change things, and he got it out of the war, and he said, "It's okay, let's do it your way." He had to be out of the country for like 10 or 15 years because he was being searched. There's a lot of people that got exiled because of that. After that, that whole Unión Patriótica, the Unión Patriótica was searched and killed. A lot of people went out of the country and tried to fled here.
When was the last time there was stuff like that happening here? Like in 2000, 1990?
What?
Like where people were like, we have to get out of the country.
Probably the first part. I think what really made a change was I was really little, but the Constitution of '91.
And that was because of Rodney King. You guys got the Constitution, is that right?
Yeah.
When he
like,
said, "Can't we all just get
everything came
along?"
together. Everything came together.
Yeah, I knew we made a change.
The thing is, like, as I was telling you, the first Constitution of Colombia was an exact same copy of the U.S. Constitution, but it was dragged because it wouldn't work here because it wasn't the same reality. It wasn't the same environment.
Right.
So you guys have only had that Constitution, and you only made a few amendments.
We don't even use it anymore. It's true. Oh man! So I just had to pause again, but we'll get back to this later. Apparently, we have to go to set and fall on the ground or something, or cut somebody up or something. Maybe Michelle. Say hello, Michelle.
Hello, Michelle.
She's so agreeable that it's almost nonsensical to speak with her, and she's both Asian and.
What does that have anything to do with anything racist? Why was it mentioned that I was Asian?
Because you're usually a higher thinker, but in this case, it's you're an outlier. I'm just saying you're an outlier, basically.
I enjoy being an outlier.
All right, so we're off, and yeah, next time, guys. Thanks a lot for your time. Thanks, Juan David, and
Thank you.
I hope we can do this again tonight or tomorrow. All right, peace.